Welcome back. I am going to share us out to Facebook land. For those of you that are returning, thank you for joining me 2 hours in a row. I can be a lot to listen to for that long. Thank you for being here. Not quite live yet. All right. So if you are joining me for the first time this evening and you have questions, everybody knew everything. There were no questions at the end of last session. If you are joining me, make sure that you're on the main public Lifepro fitness page, and any of the comments coming from the main feed will filter through to me there. All right. Perfect. So part 2, the first part, I talked about some high-level basics. I see some of you coming through now. Thank you. If someone could just let me know that they see and hear me on the other end, I will get my next part 2 ramble going. Part 2 is going to be a little bit more about use. Again, many of you wonder what we're doing wrong, or what am I doing wrong? Why am I not seeing the results I'm getting? Part of it is understanding what you're using, and becoming a little versed with the settings. Be fair, give your body some time and your body's schedule time to get used to this. Don't try it once or twice and assume it's not for you. If it was a pill, you'd give it at least a month. So I ask, if you are a new user, if it's sitting in the box, if you had a poor experience, if you were frustrated, pay attention to my approach today. There's a bazillion different ways you can use a vibration plate, but very often we go with that comfort zone, or things that we know how to do today. And if you're not an exercise for purpose person, sometimes the fitness versus what feel good use and feel good benefit expectations are is where things get a little bit gray. So I see some of you commenting now. Carol says all good. So does Deb and Cindy. Thank you guys so much for letting me know. So how to use your plate for real results. Results is a very big, very gray word. So, and results and expectations vary for everybody, just like body type. So keep it simple, keep it repeatable. So something that, isn't so complicated that you won't remember by tomorrow afternoon what you did or how you did it. And make it something, if you are dealing with a deficiency, or you're recovering for something, or you're just getting active for the first time in a long time, be realistic and keep it simple so that your body's got time to adjust and adapt to the improvements, the benefits you're going to receive. And as I talked in the first session, there are some short and long-term benefits. A lot of the longer-term benefits relates more to the fitness stuff, the strength, the bone density, the feel good, the symptom management, which is where we are going to start tonight, is a little bit more related to a little less effort on your part. So I am going to start seated. If you've never joined me for a session before, where have you been? I do many, many sessions seated because I talk too much and I don't want you going too long. But if you're fearful in any way, if you're dealing with any deficiencies, you're recovering from something, seated use is a really good way to start. It takes a bit of the fear out of the equation. And I think if you play with it, and I use the word play because I don't want anybody thinking there's really only one way to use this thing. The only advice I recommend is learning the basics first. I went into movement type very briefly. I do all of my sessions in oscillating movement. There are others, but this is the most beneficial long-term for both the symptom management and the fitness piece. And it is the one movement, the majority of Lifepro models, with the exception of the voice-controlled models, they all offer oscillating movement. Now, oscillating movement has a couple of different things to understand, which is where we'll start. So you'll notice my feet are hip width apart. If you didn't, they are. What I'd like you to focus on, if you're just getting started, is just be mindful of where your body is in this space. So I'm sitting on a bar height stool, which keeps my legs at about a 90-degree angle or slightly higher if you've got something adjustable. Any lower isn't really functional. It's like sitting in a sofa downhill. I want you at least at a 90 degree, a little bit higher, especially if you're going to be doing a lot of seated use. Maybe you deal with fatigue. Physically you're not ready to do standing or lots of it yet. So feet are close versus wide. The intensity, or the term amplitude, is the amount of movement that the plate is moving you each time, regardless of what movement style you're using. In oscillating, you have very large, very big amplitude, but it's also adjustable. So closer feet moves you less. Wider moves you more. And there is no perfect number for everybody on the other end of the camera. It really depends on the position you're doing, your tolerance. This is a physical experience, and what feels good or appropriate for what you're doing at the time is very much a personal thing. But for the feel good fitness or the feel good symptom management piece, it should never feel like uncomfortable, or you shouldn't be experiencing more pain or discomfort. So if it just doesn't feel good, first adjustment is bring those feet a little bit closer. And I would like to invite and challenge you, if you haven't seen me before, bring it up in speed a little bit. Try it out in manual mode just to get used to it. My machine in oscillating mode goes 60. I'm using a combo, the Rumblex Plus. And if you're dealing with anything below baseline, you are not an athlete, never going to be, go with a flat surface. It's more functional. Curves, a little bit more resistance, a little bit more challenge. I think all around, of course, oscillating movement, but you want to go with a flat plate surface. Just a tip for you. So those feet are hip width apart. For feel good, we've kind of already done a warm up. I've got this one going at, mine is at speed 15. You'll notice as you get going a little faster, it's smoother, it's more comfortable. I got into a discussion with a gal today. We don't always want, but many of you, especially my ladies, want a little bit more upper body action. And if you're restricted to seating, a very simple way to add more to the equation while you're seated is by adding the arms to the movement, that the resonance that's being generated through the legs. So try with the arms by putting the hands, the palms on first. Lock the arms. You feel a little bit of movement in through the forearms, up into the elbow. Depending on you, your range of motion, and your tolerance, more prefer leaning into it a bit more, getting the elbows on the knees. If at this point you find it's a little too much, I don't like it, you got deficiencies here, degenerative disc, stiffness, whatever, remember, you're always in control. Bring the heels a little bit closer, and you'll reduce the amount of movement. I don't want you playing with speed. If you've been using a long time and you always just adjust the speed and keep your feet or your hands in the same position, try it this way, just as an alternative. It's a good thing to have in your back pocket. Maybe you're not dealing with any issues right now, but maybe you are down the road, and it becomes very easy to just change on the fly depending on how you feel in the moment. You might start lower with your closer with your feet, lower on that intensity, and I'm feeling it in my shoulder blades, my neck, depending on whether I'm leaning forward, the position of my spine. If after a minute or two it feels good, you've loosened up a bit, maybe you can widen up a little bit. It really depends on how you're feeling at the time, especially for those of you that might be dealing with, issues where you have good days and bad days, okay? Seated can be a way to use it more often if you're dealing with things like fatigue, pain, sluggish lymphatics. For those of you that are dealing with lymphatic issues, varicose, venous insufficiency, anything to do with poor blood flow and poor lymphatic, this thing like turbo boosts circulation and lymphatic fluid. So make sure that you're perhaps doing a little bit of prep, prepping the pathways. There's a bazillion videos out there. But keep your durations ultra short, 2 to 3 minutes, using it a few times, perhaps throughout the day as symptoms present or get worse, versus one big long session. The number one thing chronic users and deconditioned users do is they overdo it. Even my athletes, you're feeling like jello at the game the next day. If you're going 10 minutes, even just standing or seated, you're probably moving more fluid and stimulating your central nervous system more than intended. Give your body some time to get used to it. 5 minutes max, even if you are conditioned. Let's progress to perhaps some standing. So if you are limited to seated, there's a bazillion sessions that we've done on Lifepro's channel that gives you all kinds of variations, whether you're doing some foot pumps, some seated marching. There's all kinds of routines. You do not want to stick to cookie cutter routines, but they are a good basis to give you some ideas for positions. I suggest for feel good stuff, 30 seconds to a minute per position, not the 5 that I've already talked with this one, but 30 seconds to a minute. Keep your total time starting out to maybe 2, 3, 4 minutes max, and use it a couple, maybe 3 times for the first week or 2 before building up in duration. So let's move to standing. So standing, feet are still hip width apart. One very important, don't lock the knees. When your legs are locked, all of the resonance, all of the sway, all the movement has nowhere to go but up. If you bend the knees and let those natural shock absorbers, the hips, the knees, the ankles, you'll even hear it in my voice. You'll feel the resonance suppress. And the lower you go, the more the movement or the load that the combination of this intensity and speed that we're combining, it is a combination. You'll feel, hey, I feel it more in my glutes. I feel it more in my quads. If you're feeling it like in the shins and the knees, it's really common to shift the body forward. If the technique isn't there, you want to keep 60 to 70% of that weight coming up through the heel. That's what drives the movement. So standing, you're going to begin getting fitness benefits, even though we're just standing, because we're bearing our mass in an environment that creates increases our exposure to gravity, increases our mass. So just by standing here passively, if you're using it regularly, maybe you're just doing this for some energy or blood flow, you will notice passive fitness benefits mid-long term because you're doing more things where you're bearing mass. The real goal and the super easiest way that I can translate how do we go from feel good to fitness is the position and the level of effort that you are exerting for your personal situation. So in one word, we're going to squat. So what that squat looks like for you might be here. What that squat looks like for you might be here. What that squat looks like for you, it really depends on your familiarity with doing this exercise. If you're not doing this exercise now, there's a million videos and tutorials we've done here. Check out YouTube. But the premise is weights on the heels. You almost feel like you're going to sit in a chair. If you're hanging on to something for stability or you have handles, you should be hanging on for stability, but not for dear life. If you're hanging on for dear life and you were to let go and feel like you'd fall, you're not standing in a natural way and then distributing your weight naturally. You want to make sure you're working within your own range of motion. If you're dealing with inflammation, arthritis, anything, hypermobility, I touched on that in the first session. You don't need to move up and down. And in fact, when you're starting out, if you're just learning and working on the technique, so the technique, as we go from standing to sitting, you can't totally see it in the mirror, but you want basically a straight line from the shoulder through the hip to the heel. So your pelvis is tilting backwards just slightly, like you're getting ready to sit in a chair. You should be in balance. And I prefer, if you are dealing with chronic issues, inflammation, maybe doing 2 or 3 short reps fits in better with my more often but short effective positions versus big long durations, especially if you're dealing with deficiencies of any kind. So, maybe you're standing for 30 seconds, then you're squatting for 10 to 15 seconds, then you're standing again. Listen to what the knees, the hips, the ankle, if you do have issues, listen to those deficiencies, those weak spots, and that's what's going to drive your duration. So for those of you that say, well, how long should I use it to lose 20 pounds? I don't know. I've never met your metabolism. I don't know what you're doing for 20 minutes. If you were doing exercises that were effective at burning calories, you wouldn't be able to do this for 20 minutes. So if you are in a body that is unable to do functional exercise positions, you might be doing a little bit longer durations once you build up, or perhaps we make the time that you can spend on the machine a little bit more challenging through other means. Other means today, okay? So when we are looking at the spectrum of fitness and we want the bones to be stronger and the muscles to be stronger, the body, in how we challenge it with exercise, is going to, the results or the return that your body's going to give you is very much aligned with what you're asking your body to do. So if you're just standing here, your muscles and your bones are going to adapt exactly to the behavior that you've pushed your body to do. But if you are squatting a little bit, oh, wait a minute, I screwed up. If you are squatting a little bit, your body's going to adapt to this exercise and make the muscles stronger, and the flexibility is going to increase. If we're adding mass to the equation, now I'm not killing myself, I've added 13 pounds, but if you lack the ability to get deep, or you're dealing with an injury and the range of motion just isn't there yet, just adding a little bit of mass to your standing, your squatting is going to make the muscles, the bones work a little harder. You're going to get the return a little faster, and you're going to fatigue quicker. So if you are dealing with, bad knees, bad hips, those types of things, the goal with fitness is to get those muscles to a level of fatigue to make the change they need to make. It's not just going, standing here and going longer and longer and longer, and then adding my red light and then doing 10 more hours at the, many of you are looking at this technology because it's a time saver. It's a hack to reduce time and effort to a degree. So if the goal is to reduce time, make the time that you're spending more challenging, and you'll get the fatigue levels will be there faster. You don't need to spend as much time on the machine. 10 minutes doesn't seem like a whole lot, but one of the big don'ts when people are starting out is they go too long because you think you have to. As I said with the symptom stuff, if you're dying and this is completely uncomfortable and you can't walk for 2 days after you've done it, you're probably taking on more than you're ready for. And I don't want you guys thinking it's, you throw on your weights and a weight vest and you do a bunch of jumping jacks beforehand and do squats that you're going to be able to accelerate 20 years of not doing these things. Be kind on your body. If you overdo it, you may scare yourself off, or you may, 1 or 2 times in, if you're feeling super, super sore, you've definitely done too much. One of the great things that's kind of deceiving on the fitness side about vibration plates is their capacity to expedite recovery. So even if you are doing fitness related positions on the plate, because of that perpetual benefit, that ongoing benefit of boosting that circulation and that lymphatic fluid, you're kind of expediting the recovery while you're doing the exercises. So you don't need to also spend as much time doing the recovery piece. And for many of you that don't do the recovery at all, it's going to be a win-win. As I've gotten older, as many of my friends have gotten older, this whole, pain or gain mentality that we were raised on in the 80s and the 90s is not necessary. If you're not painful the next day, and that's your, kind of your personal experience, and that's the feel you like, you're a gym goer, please don't think that you haven't done enough. Know that it's directly related to the machine's recovery capacity, which is, hint, hint, another great way to incorporate it if you are an active gym goer and you're just looking at the plate to complement the fitness goals you're already working on. As a warm-up and a recovery, it's an absolute no-brainer complement. For those of you that are using it therapeutically and you're dealing with things, you can get passive exercise benefits through that consistent weight-bearing use, and that's where a vibration plate is a little bit different than other vibration healing tools or recovery tools. It's the fact that you're bearing your mass in this environment. The vibration plate creates that subtly increases that bone density and strength. But many of you think and have been led to believe, I'm not saying some people haven't had results, but the real results come from aligning appropriate exercise positions with your body and the goals you're trying to accomplish. The feel good stuff can be in addition to what you may be doing for fitness, but for some of you, the beauty of that enhanced recovery, you can get the fitness and the feel good done in less time than many of you are doing the gym and the self-care routine on the side now. So you are only limited by your imagination and your range of motion. I want to stress 2 points. Don't do too much starting out. If you're on a wellness or a fitness journey and you're just starting with a vibration plate, be cautious of I want to encourage you combining other things with it. But if you've got other new therapies, give each individual therapy or activity its time for your body to get used to it. Don't do a whole bunch of new things all at once. If you are dealing with issues, sometimes you have a setback and, was it the vibration plate? Was it the red light? Was it the aqua size? Give your body its own chance to kind of adapt and become customized to each individual activity or therapy. Remember to not take on more than you're ready for on intensity with wide feet or hands if it's upper body stuff, and not more time than needed. Use it more often and be consistent in how often you're using it than using it once, twice a week for some big tremendous time frame that's just going to set you back for the next day or two. Do not continue if in any way you are experiencing pain or discomfort, especially if you're dealing with chronic issues. I'm not saying if you're working and you're doing fitness positions that you shouldn't feel the burn and a little bit of exertion. What I'm referring to is if it just doesn't feel comfortable, if things don't feel right, don't feel you have to endure this. Maybe it's a matter of just modifying the position or the setting slightly to something more comfortable and appropriate for your needs. Appropriate poses, appropriate effort and progression. So sometimes progression isn't just going longer and longer. Maybe it's incorporating some weights. Maybe it's more range of motion. Maybe it's just changing up the settings a little bit from week to week to keep the body from getting too comfortable with any one setting. A simple squat can go a long way. So if the goals are fitness, bone density, toning, those types of things, get comfortable with 1 or 2 really effective exercises first, maybe some push-ups, a plank. You don't need a big elaborate lineup of positions. Perfect 2 or 3 as a starting point and add some progressions, the weights and dynamic movement. And I think you'll find it'll much better complement and make the consistency easier if you're not throwing a whole bunch of, exotic exercises at you, especially if you're not an exercise guru now. And lastly, adding those accessories, if you do plan on doing more on this than just a little bit of feel good here and there. I went over in the first session some of my favorite accessories, but I forgot one. The step. This is the Aeroflex step that Lifepro retails on their site, and I think it's on Amazon as well. The step is a really good tool in addition to a bar height stool. If range of motion allows and you want to get down on the ground and do some of the massage stuff, it does just give you a little more real estate to get lazy and comfortable with. If you are dealing with medical issues or symptoms of any kind, it can also become a very good supportive tool. Perhaps, you're working one side of the body at a time, and you can put half body on the machine and half on the step. Or, maybe you are working on some dynamic movement and you just want a little bit more surface the height of the machine in front or behind it. There's lots of different sessions I've shown how to incorporate the step. But many of you have similar items at home. So one of the funnest things, once you kind of get some basics under your belt, as far as the fitness piece, I love hearing, and I invite some ideas if any of you are doing this already. There's, again, only limited by your imagination and your range of motion. There's lots of different things that I incorporate with vibration plates, but many of you have other ideas too. I've seen TRX systems. Some of you are using your rebounder and a treadmill and turning it into a little circuit. There's lots of different ways that you can incorporate this into your existing self-care or fitness goal, just as variety or to increase the efficiency overall. And a lot of people just get intimidated. I hate saying you're doing it wrong, but the biggest thing you can do wrong is follow what's working for somebody else, because it's not necessarily you. learn the basics, simplify things, and be consistent in using it regularly. That's the biggest way to see those results. And I hope that's shed a little bit of insight for you today. I'm looking at my notes. I want to make sure that I covered it all. I did. So let's maybe get to some questions here and see who's joining me for this next session. All right. All right. I see I have Cindy, I have Deb, I have Carol. It's like the Deb Club tonight. Thank you for joining me again. There is no one way to use a vibration plate. And a lot of it is just listening to what your body's telling you. It'll let you know what it doesn't like for sure, for sure. But don't be afraid to experiment. And part of the reason I want you to stick with it, even if it's just in a passive way, give it a week or two. The more you become comfortable with what the speeds feel like, what the different foot positions feel like, some of the programs, perhaps you're playing with those types of things, it becomes a lot more fun and less fearful to experiment with different positions, different stances, moving around while you're on the plate. Many of you, I had a couple questions this week about handles. Someone said, well, Debbie, everyone knows that if you have poor balance, you need handles. No, you don't need them. You think you need them, unless you're dealing with something debilitating where there's no chance ever, and I never believe in never, that your balance isn't going to improve. Sometimes handles or models with built on, like part of the machine handles, can be restrictive. So, you think you need the stability starting out. There's lots of ways you can do that. You can see I got my little ladder on the wall. Maybe you're putting it behind a sofa. You're putting a chair back up against it. But balance, as I said in both sessions, I hope very clearly, it's a perpetual benefit. It's something that happens every time you use the plate. It's going to improve. For that reason, my therapists, my docs, my care providers out there, using a vibration plate, even seated, if need, for just 30 seconds to a minute before you do other things, not only boosts the energy and the cognitive function, but it improves the balance. So it's going to reduce the fall, the risk of it. If you've got other things you've got to do or places you've got to go, it's a great way to use it for a very short period just to get you more stable. What else? Oh, hello, Betsy. Nice to see you. And Brenda. Brenda spelled my name right. Thank you. For those of you that have watched me at nausea, some of this gets repetitive, but I think you need, what does it say? 7 to 9 times. You need to see something in marketing before it's in your brain. And there's a lot more people talking about vibration plates than me out there. And I tend to be that tangent way off in left field, but it is because I do support and cater to so many chronic issues, those things you're not allowed to talk about online. I just have more experience that I bring to the equation to the equation. And I feel obligated. I didn't have the mentors that are available in today's world when I got into this. And I can assure you, the worst I ever did was over-exercise people with machines far, far, far more powerful than what's being sold online today. So if you are having a negative effect as a result of using a vibration plate in any way, it is always related to how you used it. I'm not saying that to say, well, it's your fault, but perhaps to a degree, there is a little bit of onus for you to become informed on what it is that you're using, what it takes to accomplish what you're trying to achieve. And we are all here to fill in the blanks in between, because there's so many different bodies out there dealing with different things. Sandra, hello. Thank you for being here. She has a back fusion. So is it safe? There's going to be a lot of mixed opinions online. And I will be honest, Sandra, a lot of times when you're dealing with any kind of medical issue, it's on one of those awful things called the contraindications list. Contraindications are an indication to seek further clarity. They're not an indication to stop or to quit. So thank you for seeking clarity. I deal with many, many, many back fusions, some good, some bad, some extensive, some mild. So it depends on the back fusion, how recent it was. So any question like this, it boils down to, with a back fusion, is it appropriate to be active? and to what degree for where you are in your health timeline. So if there's something recent, you've had this surgery recently, or it's a repair perhaps, and you're working with a physical therapist, or you've got stuff you're supposed to be doing at home, a vibration plate, there absolutely is a way that you can use it, but it's understanding how to modify for where you're at in your recovery. So maybe you're just seated, or maybe you're just putting one leg on it. It really depends on where you're at in your recovery. If it's like old news and you've been dealing with it for a long time, it's a fear thing. So get those feet close, reduce the intensity. It's the amount of movement when you're dealing with any kind of deficiency, that wide, choppy, shaky feeling. Doctors look at that and go, you're not doing that with your back, because they don't realize there's other ways to do it. And it's just as simple as bringing the feet close together. I support users as young as 6 months post spinal surgery called selective dorsal rhizotomy. I also deal with a lot of fusions, implants. I actually have clients still with Harrington rods. I've been around that long. So anything with the back, regardless of what you've had done, it's a matter of where you're at physically this moment in time. And sometimes other things, maybe you've got other conditions or concerns that you're dealing with. If it's an old injury, Sandra, there's probably associated things, those years of our body compensating. So I have a bad knee, which is how I got into this. But now I have an opposite bad knee and bad hip from all the years of leaning on that strong side. So if it's a recent thing, it's a different approach. It's more of a recovery, and there absolutely, with experienced guidance, are ways that you can use it. But if it's an old injury, it's the fear. Start seated, as I've shown tonight. And if you go into the YouTube channel for Lifepro, Facebook only allows videos to live here now for 30 days. And then Lifepro is making an effort to get them all moved over to YouTube, so you can see all of our past sessions as well. But if you go into Lifepro's YouTube channel and type Debby with a Y and spine, you'll see several past episodes come up where I give you just a couple of real simple standing or seated or on the ground back specific positions. And I encourage, there's never going to be one exercise that's perfect for every situation, body type. So I always try to give you a few variations and experiment with those to see what works best. If it's an old injury, sometimes it's just that relief, doing something a couple times a day for a couple of minutes can make a world of difference. I have more and more working with their vibration plate for the feel good and the symptom management stuff. Not every plan covers, your chiro and your massage therapist 5-10 times a year like they used to. So I find people really seeking not only effective, but really short things that they can incorporate into their day to, combat that symptom management throughout the day, so that you're not paying for it at the end of your day, if that makes sense. I hope that offers you some insight. The other thing with close feet, especially for back and spine, is speed it up. I know that sounds like crazy, but faster is smoother, more soothing. Those slow speeds are really destabilizing and jarring and choppy. So sit in a stool, put the feet dead center, crank it about a third of the way up, and just breathe and focus on how it feels. And then your brain will go, this ain't too bad. I think I could do this. Sometimes just having a session or two seated gets the central nervous system ready for it, craving it actually, and a lot less fearful. Let me know on that one, Sandra. If you have a plate now. If you don't have a plate now, basic oscillating movement is all that you need. Sometimes people, there's never one plate for every situation, but if you are looking at doing fitness, you're going to use weights, you're going to be doing squats and push-ups, and your hubby's 6'6". I would recommend going with at least maybe the Turbo, Hovert, or something a little bit, a few more options for features, but they're going to be a little heavier and a higher weight capacity. If you just want the basics, but you still want to do some fitness, but not a whole bunch of fancy routines, just, make sure you're within weight capacity. But typically the Waiver Mini, the Waiver are more than adequate for every benefit. Do not listen to the marketing on hertz. This 30-40 hertz is best for this, and 15 hertz is best for that. That's only half of the equation. You can't bake a cake with half the recipe. That's misleading. And anybody that's offering you just a number, they just want your credit card. Trust me, take your time and wait. I'll take your messages on those for those of you that might be currently in a transaction, but it's very misleading to say that. And you know, at the end of the day, more people are looking for something that's portable, something that's not so heavy and encumbersome that you can't move it around. So that's why I recommend the Waiver or the Waiver Mini. Anything smaller than the Waiver Mini, the cute little, I got a whole stack of them here, the wellness models. Okay. So anything from about the black one, the nano one up, they're awesome secondary machines, lifestyle machines. But if you're looking at doing any major fitness, they tend to get a little bit light. They're not as stable. They're not going to sustain as much mass. So just keep in mind what you're using it for. If you're just looking for a therapeutic machine that you're going to be using all the time for your lymphedema and you're going to park it under your desk at the office, absolutely, you know, like go with as little as you can get. But if you plan on standing on it, which I really hope you do, too many people go, I don't want to say inexpensive, but sometimes you got to start with where you got to start. But too many people go too inexpensive, too cute because it came in purple, and don't really realize or don't have enough faith in the process that I'm trying to provide here. You don't think you're going to progress. And I really want you to progress. So if you're unable to do standing exercises and you're living in assisted living, I want you to have independence. I want you to return to more of your old self. And I think you'll find the consistent use, some of this stuff comes very passively. And as you want to do more, sometimes those smaller plates just don't sustain adding the weights or the wide squats and things like that. So just keep that in mind. And that's sometimes why people end up with a couple machines. You know, this is my workout machine, and this is my, you know, my feel good and, you know, watch TV and take to the office machine. So keep that in mind. If you are looking at anything standing, you know, more standing than seated, the ones that with the therapeutic bumps, the red light, they're more therapeutic and they're cool because it's two therapies in one. But if you're looking at a fitness machine, don't be drawn to therapeutic add-ons and features. You're probably in the long run going to find something with just a flat surface. Again, the mini, the Waiver or up is going to be more aligned with true fitness use, if that makes sense. And there's deals on right now. So let's talk about that. There's big spring deals on with Amazon. So in the US, Canada, and the UK, wherever you're shopping, most of Lifepro's models are available on the out of country sites. It really depends on stock, and the sale has been on since the 25th. It's on tonight and tomorrow, so check it out on Amazon. But of course, if you're in the US, there are certain items available exclusively through Lifepro. The new Vibrance vibration plate that I used in my last few sessions. And there's sometimes are better deals. So I recommend comparing. Lifepro is established in the US, so that's why they have a website in the US and on Amazon. But they are available, some products elsewhere through Canada, the UK, Germany. There's other sites more and more. So check those out. Sale goes on till tomorrow. Hello, Starmy. Awesome name. Will this be available to view later? I'm not really able to listen right now and really want to hear this. I just got the Rumblex Pro. Nice choice. Yes, you can go into the event anytime or just look at posts in the feed and you'll see the live stream. Always available here on Facebook for 30 days. And then you'll see these over on the main Lifepro YouTube channel. I would recommend, Stormy, if you really want a crash course, because it's so exciting when you've got a new machine, go into Lifepro's main or go into their YouTube channel and search Debby Getting Started. Debby with a Y. I've got a 6-minute super hard crash course to help get you started. Skip the manual. Follow my guidance. There is no one way to use a plate. I just have a different approach that's going to cater not only more to those new users, but those deconditioned and chronic users if you're dealing with issues of any kind. So thank you for joining me. Who else has questions tonight? If that is it, I'm going to let you get back to your Monday. I will be here this coming Saturday for my once a month crash course on how to use your vibration plate. It is the first Saturday of the month every month. In May, it will be 1 year. And I've only had to reschedule to a Sunday one time. So I look forward to seeing hopefully some of you on Saturday night. If you are a new user or know someone who is a new user, there's always new users. So that's why I love doing this once a month. And the questions are really driven by he who shows up. You will find those also on YouTube, and I will get the event link up this week and share that information with you on the event time, etc., when it's available. But generally speaking, I do that one later on. It's usually 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday night to give everybody a chance in the West Coast to attend as well. Hello, Deb, again, Carol, Cindy, Betsy, of course, my consistency queen, Sandra. I love seeing all of you here. Thank you for your support in joining me this evening. If you have any questions and you're seeing this on a recorded basis, just a reminder to tag me at Debby with a Y. Sometimes if the convo gets going, then I sometimes don't get the notification, but if you tag me for sure, I will. And I'm going to drop in each of the sessions links to some of my more key sessions if you're looking for certain things of interest. Maybe you've got some common questions. And I'm also going to drop a link to each of the Amazon and Lifepro in the USA's main sales sites, so you guys don't have to go digging for the sale deals. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see some of you again on Saturday night. Have a great rest of your evening and a great start to your week.